to create Instagram posts on Pixlr. Please go to pixlr.com, that's pixlr.com. Select Create New on the far left, scroll down as far as you can go, and then you will see the various options for Instagram. Now, if you want to create an Instagram story, then you'll select Story, but the square ones are typically 1080 by 1080. So let's go ahead and select the Home button. And now you should have the size and dimensions that's needed for square. It's a high resolution, so it's already preset. Let's begin with the Fill and Paint Bucket tool. Go to Color Picker, select the option you would like. I'm going to choose red and select OK. Remember, you can switch between colors by selecting the arrow and then click one time inside of the canvas and it will turn red. The next step is to add text. T for text. Remember, at the top is going to be the same exact color until you change it. So I'm going to type the word subscribe. And then let's find another call to action. March Madness. This is giving you different avenues to make your theme. And remember, at the top, until you change the color, it's going to be red. Now I made it white. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Change the size. Now I'm not necessarily sure if I want to do a March Madness theme or not. I just wanted to show you different options to play with until you knew exactly what your post would be about. Again, you need a brand strategy for all designs. In this case, we're going to look at the font to find which font would be most appropriate for March Madness or the message that I would like to relay. Let's try digital art. But in doing so, we should change the font to be really creative because digital art is creative. But if we think about it from the aspect of creating a call to action, you also need it to be clear. So now I'm going to alternatively write the word new. Again, it's your objective to figure out exactly what you would like your Instagram post to be. This is just an example of how to use the program. Now the shapes at the top is going to give you the option to draw. You can fill the color prior to and then make your square. It's yellow in this instance. To change the fill color, you can simply click the yellow at the top to make changes. Remember, you can drag the square wherever you would like to place it accordingly. You can make it big or small. In this case, I am going to select another color and then make another square. This is how you create an Instagram post designed from scratch. Now I'm going to reposition the square to give it a design. And I'm going to continue to build out the background. When thinking about the color scheme, please remember to use colors that are most applicable to what your project is. For example, if you're making an Instagram post, then please be mindful that your Twitter and YouTube account color scheme should be similar in nature, so it's easy for those to recognize and identify that you're the same person. Now that I repeated the step 3 times, I have 3 colors: yellow, gray, and blue. I positioned accordingly. Now I'm ready for the next step. Let's review typography. Click on T for text. You can add an additional text and begin to type. How to create a Now I'm going to go to Styles to change the background. You can also go back to Fill to change the color to give it a block border rectangular effect. How to create a. So I'm going to use this square to advertise and promote how to create an Instagram post and other tutorials that's on youtube.com/official MsCclass. I'm moving the new. I'm going to curve it. You can use circle or arc. And just pan left or right to position new so it stands out. Remember, layers on your far right, you drag up and down to move to the front or back, depending upon where you would like to place your image or text. Please take your time to position the word. In this case, I'm moving it in front of the block so it would stand out if it touched the How to Create section. You can also copy what you've already done by going to Edit, Copy, Edit, Paste, and Edit, Paste again if you already like the style that you've created. Then you can double click inside of it and change it. I'm typing logo, double click inside of the next one and type Instagram post. I'm going to put at least 3 services or next 3 tutorials on this Instagram post message. We're going to now put Facebook banner. New, how to create a logo, Instagram post, Facebook banner. Now you don't necessarily want all your text to look the same, so you can adjust the style or the arc by going back to Styles and dragging the circle to pan left or right to make a change. Now the next step, you can go ahead and slant and position. Branding is all about positioning. The most important stuff you want to be bold or big, and everything else can be a subset. But let's change the fonts to make it stand out. I'm going to use Arial. Even Arial looks totally different if you add a slant to it. Then you can fill the color so every individualized section has its own function. Now that we're focused on our positioning strategy, take your time to move each layer right to left based on what looks appropriate. The background can be selected through Styles again, and then you can reposition one more time to make sure that the size is exactly as it should be to relay the message that you're trying to relay. So in this instance, if you look at how to create, it stands out. Instagram post stands out as well. So that means anything that you add a border to is going to stand out more than the rest of the topography that you have on your screen. Now I'm just moving the logo around so it stands out in its own right, even though it does not have a border. Now I'm going to take my time and change one more thing to make this exactly how I think it should go moving forward. Let's take a look at it. What should change and what should we add? Let's go ahead and add more text. T for text. Go ahead and select add. We need a call to action. We're saying how to create a logo, but we also need to tell them where to get this information. So I'm going to put subscribe. I'm placing subscribe at the bottom. You can also consider placing it at the top. But you want the message to stand out, and I would like to give it its own border and box. To avoid mixing up the text, it's important to position all of your topography in its own place. Find a font that's going to help the word subscribe stand out, but it needs to be clear. Maybe something bold. and opposed to something fancy or creative. You need subscribe to be clear, so the call to action does not confuse the reader. You can neatly place it in a nice space unto itself, then take a step back and make sure that it is as clear as you can make it by changing colors and even adjusting the size a few times. So again, you just repeat the same steps that we've been working through to move the font and text and change the color. Once that's done, you can then add a shape. I'm going to consider adding a shape behind the word subscribe, and I'm going to turn the color white. I'm going to select down inside the layers box just to make sure it stands out and I can send the white shape to the back. Now I'm going to add official MsCclass. I would like them to subscribe to the YouTube channel at official MsCclass. Change the color again to make sure that the color stands out. And gray is not necessarily the first color of choice, but it matches the dynamics of the whole image. Let's find typography and font types that work. Again, call to action should be clear, so you don't necessarily want it to be too fancy. You want people to be able to read exactly what you're asking them to do, which is why it's considered a call to action. If they take no action, then no one answered the call. Now let's go ahead and reposition the text. And include additional verbiage in this instance. We're going to write youtube.com/official MsCclass, and now we need to move everything over so it fills in the square, but we can also position the text so it still has its own space. And now we're going to add some more details. If an advertisement pops up, then please select X to delete. Let's position the box and the text exactly where it should go so the reader can see it clearly. If you put it under subscribe, it may not necessarily stand out and begin to look like too much reading. The benefit of having everything on one line is it will help the reader look at the text from left to right on one line and level playing field. Let's go ahead and make some changes. Let's move the text exactly where it should be. And then we can make some more changes to the color scheme, because now we can see that we're definitely going to need a brighter color. So let's go back to fill. We can change it to white and see how that looks. But again, you don't necessarily want it to blend totally in. So we can change fonts again. Brand strategy and design for social media, especially Instagram posts, is required to make sure that the first 5 seconds or even 2 seconds messaging can be clear. Let's go ahead and move it over. Now let's review. We are moving text around to make sure that it's positioned correctly. So when the reader can see it, the first thing that they see is what you wanted them to see. How to create Instagram posts, and now we're going to put tutorials. Tutorials is not necessarily the service, it's the it. The service is designing the Facebook banner, the Instagram post, and the logo, and it just so happens to be the tutorials. So we can change that font as It's important, but it's not the main idea of what you're creating. So I'm going to use a standard font that you will probably see in Microsoft Word. And I'm going to reposition this text accordingly by dragging the size. And now we have our Styles tool. Or we can use the size changer, panning left or right. Now the main thing that you would read is how to create an Instagram post. And then you have the word tutorials. Let's take a step back and review again. What could we do to make this stand out? Or how can we make this message even more clear on the medium that we're going to use, which is Instagram? Now that we've reviewed, this is the best time to add the logo. So if you have your logo on the desktop or saved in your downloads folder, you can literally drag and drop and add to current, and it will automatically appear within your canvas. Now that your digital canvas can display your logo, you need to find it in the layers section. In this case, the layers section is going to allow you to move your logo where you would like to reposition it. You can also use your arrow keys and just hold on to the left arrow key in this case, and it will move to the left. Or you can use your mouse. If you try to use your mouse and it asks you to add a text, just click cancel. Then you can stretch out your logo, place it where you would like. And as the ads pop up, you can continue to click X. If you put the logo at the top, it may convolute the design. If you put it too big in the middle, then it may not necessarily complement the design either. So it's really important that you place your logo and size of the logo where it would be most suitable to allow the message to stand out and making your brand an important part of the design itself. Now that you've positioned everything where you would like, you can simply save your work. So please go to File, Save, and we're going to save image as a JPG since there's no need to have a transparent background. And then it will go straight to the bottom of your download section, depending upon what browser you are using. And there you have it. For more tutorials, please subscribe and download the official MsCclass online teaching podcast today.